Hello everyone, my name is Wayne.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we are
Your Bourbon Journey.
Day 24, the very last day of our Advent calendar. Later tonight, we'll be heading over to Rebecca's parents' house to go ahead and have baked ziti and actually drink some wine, which will be a little bit different. And we'll
take turns opening presents for 5 hours.
Yeah, and remembering the birth of Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
Because that's the reason for the season. As we end this, now we're going to try to figure out what is left that we have not had up to this point. There's only one thing left.
There is.
And let's go ahead and without further, let me just say this. It's going to either be a bourbon, a rye, or an American single malt.
And I want to add that I've placed we've talked about it and had some pictures of this a couple of times early on, but this is our Advent tree that we've had all of our sample bottles in. Our little sample bottles just fit in here like this, and it's been very cool. And now, as you can see, it's empty because we've poured the last one.
Yeah.
So it's got Bourbon Women on there, and we talked about it early on about Wayne winning the auction at the Bourbon Women's Symposium in August, and that I got these glasses in another auction that came with some bourbon. And so we just thought we might put it out here today to show you how just darn cute this is.
It is pretty cool. I really like it. I went ahead and lost beaucoup dollars to go ahead and get it. Actually, it wasn't too bad. I really liked it, and I thought my wife would enjoy it, and it's been fun to use for this month. So
absolutely.
One last time, one last shot, one last thought.
One last ounce. Let's see how it smells. That is really different.
Tad smoky.
It's got some unusual notes to it. I'm having trouble picking it up.
The smoky part is there's something to this because it's smoky, but it's not what I would consider to be like the barrel.
Mm-hmm. There's a darkness to it.
Yes.
It's dark. And we don't know the color because of the red glasses. But let's go ahead and taste it because I'm curious.
Okay. Cheers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is super interesting.
It is. And it's a finished bourbon.
It is absolutely a finished bourbon. I thought we probably had one finished bourbon left, and this is definitely a finished bourbon. And honestly, there are so many familiar notes on it. I can almost guess, but I won't guess what it is. What kind of flavors are you getting on the palate?
Well, I'm getting something I don't want to say because if I say it, it will reveal what it is. That's the predominant thing I'm getting. I'm getting really, honestly, a traditional bourbon. You're kind of a little bit of vanilla, brown sugar type, but it's finished in something that is very distinct in flavor. And when we had this the first time, we really liked it.
Yeah, and we haven't had it for a while.
It's been a while, yes.
But I agree with you. The vanilla is what I'm getting. It probably complements the finished barrel quite well. There's some, it's not quite cinnamon. It's probably more of a nutmeg, more of that kind of spice. On the finish, because I just took another sip, it's a pretty long finish. It's just kind of hanging out there and it's warm, not overbearing in any way. There's some wood notes. What do you think about the proof?
110.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's a little bit lower. I mean, 100 to 105 maybe. So we were talking about the finish, and it's nice. It's lingering. It's got some great notes on it a little bit. I can't quite guess the age. Sometimes when things are finished, it's harder for me to guess the age because there's so much going on.
I'll throw out 7 years.
I'll go 5 just to be different. So,
it probably will be 5.
I don't know. So we've guessed it's a finished bourbon. Now, I know you have an idea and I have an idea what we think it is. I think we both think it's a Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Yes.
And do we want to say it together what we think it is?
Why don't you say it?
Goose Island.
Goose Island. It definitely is. And
Goose Island Stout.
And this is something that actually I had on our trip December 7th.
Let's make sure that's what it is first.
Okay.
Then we'll know for sure. Let's go look it up.
We stand corrected, although I would bet I'm right.
He would bet he's right, and he probably is, but it's letter M, our last one of the entire thing. I'm a little sad. It is definitely a finished bourbon.
Okay.
It is, oh, interesting. What did we say for age?
I said 7.
And I think I said I'd go 5, but it's a blend of 6, 7, and 9-year-olds.
Okay.
Which, you know, if we had thought about Bardstown, we would have thought about the fact they do a lot of blending. We probably should have known that. The proof is 100.
Okay, I was off.
I was a little closer on the proof. As is typical with collaborations by Bardstown, it is $159.99.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, it is the Bardstown Bourbon Company collaboration with Goose Island. So we were correct. I like getting our last one correct. That's very fun. So now share the story of our big Louisville trip and check that out if you haven't yet. But talk about when we were in Bardstown, they have a tasting room in Louisville, and you got this fabulous flight.
Well, they had, when we walked in, they had some beer bottles up front. If I drink any beer, it's a porter or a stout.
Same.
And they had one in a box that was really unusual. It was a rye finish, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I'm not as big on rye, but anyway, we went over to the bar, and the bartender mentioned that they had this mini flight of the Goose Island with this 2023 beer that was finished in the Bardstown barrel. The pairing was they had a beer that was Goose Island. Then they had this as the bourbon with it. And then they had a rye, and then they had the rye beer, if you want to call it that. It was very interesting.
What did you like best?
Well, I liked what I bought, and we'll show a picture of it. It was the porter that was basically after this, after the Goose Island.
The Goose Island beer that had been finished in the bourbon.
Yes, it was a better buy. It was $15.95, and the rye for one bottle was $39.95, which I couldn't pull the trigger on it. It wasn't bad. It was interesting, but it wasn't interesting enough for me to buy. So I stuck with bought two of the bottles, and Rebecca will insert a picture of that bottle into the video.
And we do drink beer. We really like stouts a lot.
Yes.
So it goes to figure that if they finished one of their great bourbons in a stout barrel, we're probably going to like it. And Goose Island's pretty known for having great stouts.
It is. So this is the end of our Advent calendar for 2024.
Try not to cry.
And we'd like to thank all of you who took the time to go ahead and watch us. I hope from Rebecca and myself that you have a very Merry Christmas. May God bless each of you. Jesus is the reason for the season, and we hope that you will spend time with your family and love one another. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Cheers.